has been about 7 days since I started using this thing. This is the CosmicByte CB-GK-18, and if you haven't seen my first video about this, then I don't know what you're doing with your life, but just to rephrase that, this is the Outemu Red keycap version. There are two versions, red and blue, which are kind of mimicking the Cherry MX red and blue mechanical keycaps. I went with the linear Outemu Red key switches. So after using this for a week, I think I'm ready to give my full review, and right off the bat I have to say there's a huge difference between a mechanical keyboard and a mechanical feel keyboard. Something like this, the EvoFox Fireblade. So I have been using this for a year, as you know, and this is a membrane keyboard that just makes a mechanical noise, or kind of makes a clicky noise. Not sure if you can call it mechanical. This uses a linear key switch, which is completely different from a tactile key switch, so it doesn't make too much noise. And man, after just using it for 1 week, I cannot go back to any other keyboard. I've completely been spoiled with this thing. So even after using this for a year, I cannot use this thing anymore. Like, the keys here feel too tight and rigid, and I don't like this anymore. These linear key switches have spoiled me forever, and I can't go back anymore. Well, in case you're wondering what is the main difference between a mechanical keyboard like this and a membrane keyboard, well, the key switches itself are different. Each key switch has its own mechanism that propels it up and down, and the motion is much more smooth and uniform compared to a membrane keyboard like that. So as I've shown you in my previous video, there's nothing here that can actually propel the keys up and down with a uniform motion. Like, there are no stabilizers or anything. The keys themselves are doing all the work. So it feels all right for typing as long as you don't use anything else. But as soon as you compare this with something, then these completely fall apart. You see, the thing about these mechanical keyboards is that they have a very distinct signature, like they have a very distinct feel to them that isn't really mimicable by any other keyboards. There are many keyboards out there that can kind of simulate a mechanical feel by producing the sound and stuff, but linear key switch is something that you can't really get by just producing a sound, because it's an experience altogether. Not only are these key switches easier to press and they have an optical sensor assisting them with the key press, there is no real biting point. Like, there is no exact pressure where the key switch immediately goes down. It's a very smooth movement that goes up and down just like that. But a non-linear keyboard like this, when you slowly press down, nothing happens, and eventually it just suddenly drops down. So it kind of drops down and comes back at the same speed. So there is no smooth motion that goes along with your finger's pressure. So it just behaves in one single way. Whereas on a linear keyboard, the keys behave with your pressure. So if you're pressing down very hard, they go up and down pretty fast. But if you're pressing down slowly, they go up and down pretty slow. So they adjust to your finger's weight, and they don't wait for you to kind of put the exact amount of pressure on them. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it makes a huge difference when you're typing or pressing these keys for a long time. So yeah, it definitely feels much easier on your finger. And like I said earlier, after using this, every other keyboard feels like it's tight, rigid and heavy. Even though there is nothing wrong with it, the smoothness of these keys kind of spoils you. Well, I'm not saying these linear keys are for everyone. Like, some people genuinely enjoy those tactile feedback and the clicky noises that the keyboards make. But I have tried that for a long time, and I've kind of grown out of it, and I think these silent, linear, smooth key switches are the way to go for me. If you are someone like that who wants a smooth feeling, high quality mechanical keyboard without too much noise underneath the keycaps, then yeah, you should go with an Outemu Red linear key switch. Trust me, after using a mechanical keyboard, there is no replacement for an actual mechanical keyboard. I mean, if you're going with the blue switches, the Outemu blue switches that are clicky and tactile key switches, that can kind of mimic an Outemu blue, but these are linear key switches, and nothing can mimic a linear key switch. See how much quiet that is. Check this out. I don't even have to type it with the full force of the keys. I can just do that and I can still type it. Powerful, huh? I can be as quiet as like this. This is great for indoor usage, like even in quiet environments. So you can game without annoying your teammates. I mean, this doesn't have a software or anything. Obviously, I'm doing all the settings here, so there is no. Yeah, this guy, whoever it is, I don't know who he is, but he's an idiot. There is a software for this actually. You can directly follow the link in the description, or you can do a little bit of your own research and not be lazy all the time. You just have to search CosmicByte keyboard software. Here it is. I mean, they've just given a link to a Dropbox, which is not a super convenient way, but hey, I guess it works fine. So they have organized it in terms of folders of all the different devices that are present in CosmicByte. You just have to search for your particular keyboard. The one that we have is the Firefly mechanical keyboard, and that's the one. Download that, and it's just an exe file basically. So you just directly run it. Here it is. And yeah, it has weird sounds for some reason. I had to disable that. I mean, it's a keyboard software. Why do you need background sounds? Just because it's a gaming thing doesn't mean it has to have some ambient thing. I guess some people like it, but yeah, basically this is what the entire software is. So you can customize your keys, you can set macros, you can change the colors, and these are the different profiles. And I noticed that the software is pretty accurate, and it's it's very responsive. So there's virtually no delay between something that you do here and it's showing up on the actual keyboard. So it's pretty seamless. I like it. So let's go over them one by one. The key here basically means that you can remap any key that you want. So basically in this section you can kind of map anything to any of these keys. So just select it and click on whatever you want to see here. So if you want to change something about the keyboard itself or assign some media functions or macros. Media functions are just these preset options, you know, next track, previous track, things like that. So you can assign anything to any of these keys, and that will automatically be saved to this one particular profile. So once you switch the profiles, the things will go back to whatever you have set in that particular profile. So I don't think there is any way of assigning any more profiles here. For some reason there are slots, but I couldn't find a way of making any more than 4. But I guess 4 is good enough for for entry level customization. That's all well and good. Macros are of course something that you know, right? They are just a bunch of things that you can program with the help of a name. Interestingly enough, there is already a bunch of preset macros that have been created for you, alphabetically each macro presses one key. You can of course change it by pressing on this play button and then pressing keys in any order that you want, and then press pause. So that will be saved just like that. You can add custom delays, and yeah, that's it basically. My bad, I thought I couldn't rename them. If you right click on any of the macros, you can rename them by saying like rename and stuff. So I can rename that macro, and if I want to attach that to any of my keys, I can just say Q or something, and I can set the macro as that, and as soon as I hit this right symbol, I can just go ahead and press that button, and boom, it'll automatically give whatever you have programmed in that macro, just like that. And there's an undo button here which resets it to what it was before. So if you mess up, then you can always do that. And this is my favorite thing, the color customization. And yep, this is dynamic. Whatever you're seeing here is exactly what's happening on the keyboard. And here I came to know the names of these different effects. I showed you this in my previous video where you can switch between these different effects by pressing function and these insert key here. So this is the name of those, and of course you can change anything here. So this is my favorite, little stars. I can change it to something else. Let's say raindrop, for example. See, it just randomly glows something. You can set the speed, which is halfway, is what I like. And there is also a brightness control, interestingly. I haven't seen this in many other keyboards. So I'm gonna crank it to max brightness, and there we go. That's how it looks like. Hopefully you saw that a bit clear this time. I have purposefully set the video to be a little bit darker so you can see the lights better, because you know cameras are not really sensitive to the lights as our eyes are. So I have tried to capture the lights a little bit better this time. Also, there is a keyboard shortcut to switch the color. So if you don't like one particular color, one of you mentioned this in a very helpful comment. So you can press function and delete to switch between colors. Right now it's in red. So if I press function and delete, you can see it changes to green and things like that, yellow, cyan, blue. Cyan looks really nice on black color in my opinion. Ripple is pretty trippy. It's one of my favorites. If I enable this, when I press a keyboard, that's when it sends a ripple across the keyboard. That looks really dope. But yeah, you get the idea. You can of course set your own custom color by changing the RGB values down to the last hex value, which is pretty amazing, really. I mean, I have been using these 255 hex values for some other applications, so I kind of know what I'm looking at. For some of these directional animations, you can even set the direction of those waves. Like if I wanted to go from right to left or left to right, I can do that. Overall, I really like this software. It's pretty nice, and of course, as soon as I switch my profile, it immediately switches that to the next one, so you can dynamically see that changing here. And of course, I'm saying the same thing with my eyes here as well. And that's pretty much it. That's all you can do with this software. You can customize any key that you want to a macro or a media control. You can set your own macros, rename them, do whatever you like, and of course play around with the colors. The only minor gripes that I have is that well, the same thing that I mentioned in my the initial unboxing video, that the keycaps are not super sharp in terms of the letter engravings. As you can see, the paint kind of bleeds through those keycaps a little bit, and it's not perfectly clear cut. So I would have liked to see that in a slightly better quality, but hey, thankfully these are Outemu Red mechanical key switches, so you can kind of buy additional key switches that are compatible with these, and you can simply replace them easily. CosmicByte also makes some other keyboards with the complete metallic build, like the metallic edges and stuff. This thing is made of plastic in this case, but I think the top panel here is a metal panel. Yeah, it does feel like an aluminum panel, but yeah, the sides and the edges are made of plastic. This thing is about 750 grams, which is pretty heavy. It's much heavier than any normal keyboards that I've seen. So if you want to see a teardown or something like this, then let me know. Leave a like and I'll do another video on that. Some of you advised me to not do any teardowns because apparently mechanical keyboards are designed a little bit differently. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, that's about everything I had to share about the CosmicByte FireFly. That's the name of this thing. Yeah, it's a TKL form factor Outemu Red key switch version. It's available for around 2000 rupees on Amazon. And yeah, there are cheaper versions out there, but they are full form factor keyboards. They have a number pad and stuff like that. I don't like it. I only like the TKL form factor, which is why I went for this. If you have any further questions on this, let me know in the comments down below. I'll answer all of them. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers.